I just left my wife, and I feel absolutely fine about it. 10 years ago, I thought I had the perfect life. A well-paying job, a beautiful wife, a clean house, 2 new cars, and a baby on the way. My job was fulfilling, and I was good at it. The stability was great. My wife, Emily, loved me despite my flaws, and I adored her. We were the couple everyone envied. People would always tell us how perfect we were together, and I thought that was true. Promotions kept coming, we moved to a beautiful house, and our son, Noah, was born. Everything seemed perfect. Emily, a successful marketing executive, was doing well in her career. We went on vacations every year, and I thought I had it all. But then something happened. It started with a surprise for her. For her birthday in 2022, I bought her a new car, a luxury car, something she had always wanted. Her old car was from 2013, and I had been getting new ones every few years. She was thrilled with the car, and we spent the whole day joyfully driving it around, figuring out all the new gadgets. But something shifted after that day. I'm not sure how, but Emily became distant. Not just with me, but with Noah too. Our son started noticing the coldness. At first, I didn't think much of it, but it kept getting worse. Emily wasn't herself. She stopped going to the gym and told me she was attending yoga classes, but the location tracking on our phones told me she wasn't there. Instead, she kept going to some upscale neighborhood on the edge of town. I brushed it off at first, but as weeks passed, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was getting ready to confront her when I finally saw it. She was lying about where she was. That's when I sat her down and asked her what was going on. Her reaction was shocking. She accused me of stalking and invaded my privacy. It wasn't long before I asked her flat out, "Are you cheating on me?" Of course, she denied it, but things went downhill fast. Weeks of anger, distrust, and constant tension followed. Then she admitted it. She had been seeing someone else, and not just seeing him, but sleeping with him. I was devastated, but I made the mistake of forgiving her. She promised she loved me and wanted to fix things, so I believed her. We went to therapy, took vacations together. She seemed to be having fun, and I thought maybe things were going back to normal. But I was wrong. During a business trip to California, things came crashing down. I didn't tell Emily I was coming home early. Maybe I wanted to surprise her. When I walked into the house, I found a strange car parked in the driveway. When I went upstairs, I saw 2 men in my bed with Emily. I couldn't believe it. It happened just yesterday. I don't remember much of what she said, her excuses just blurring together. I walked out of the room, went to the basement, and poured myself a drink. The 2 men left, but Emily stayed, sitting in the living room with that sad smile. She tried to talk, but I wasn't listening. I told her to leave. "Get out of my house," I said. She tried to guilt-trip me, talking about the kids, but I was done. I'm sad, but not for her. I'm sad for my son. He deserves better. I'll fight for custody, but I'm terrified that the court will side with her. I've spent the last 3 years trying to fix a marriage that was already broken, and nothing worked. This morning, I told Noah. He asked why mom wasn't here, and I couldn't lie to him. I didn't make him go to school today. He and I are upstairs now, trying to figure out what to do next. This whole situation is a mess, and it could have been avoided. But I don't pity Emily. I hope she carries the label of cheater for the rest of her life. I want her to follow through on her actions, and I want people to know she's a prominent optometrist in our area. This could very well hurt her business if word spreads, and I'm starting to think it might. Thought you should know. I've got a bit of an update for you. Hey everyone. Not sure if you remember me, but I posted here around 2 months ago with the story of how I caught my wife, Emily, cheating and what it did to our family. I was completely heartbroken, but as of July 13, 2023, our civil court case officially concluded, and I came out victorious in everything. It was a quick and easy process, and I feel a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Not sure if this violates any rules, so mods, feel free to remove this. But since I got so much support from my last post, I felt it was my duty to post an update. 2 months ago, I came home from a business trip and found my wife in bed with not 1, but 2 men. This came after several years of her intentionally deceiving our family. I was foolish enough to take her back after I had already caught her cheating with a man much older and much wealthier than me. After telling her to leave, Emily became hostile and threatened to take our kids away from me. I was terrified. I had heard horror stories about how mothers often get their way in court no matter the situation, and I had no idea what to expect. I had to take time off work this summer because I couldn't shake the constant feeling of being sick. Not to mention the dread of Emily being around my kids. If they grow up to be anything like her, I'll consider myself a failure as a parent. On May 21st, 2023, I filed for full custody and officially divorced Emily. I hired a lawyer, my best friend from work, who initially wanted to do it all for free once he heard what happened. But I couldn't let him. We teamed up, and together we went through phone records, location data, and gathered everything we could to build our case. Our court date was set for July 12th, just after my kids and I returned from vacation. I didn't take them out of state, per my lawyer's advice, but it was a nice distraction. My 10-year-old daughter, Noah, seemed emotionally stable enough to answer questions from both lawyers. Even though I had requested she not be put in that situation, she stated how Emily had been difficult and paranoid for the last year, but that she had learned to live with it. No child should ever have to experience that. What really tipped the scales in my favor, however, was Emily's announcement that she was planning to move to Southern California. This meant the kids would have to choose, and all three chose to stay with me. Emily's lawyer tried to argue that I was sabotaging the kids, influencing them to pick me over her. But it was clear they wanted to stay in the same house, with the same friends, and at the same school. The court ruled that the kids would live with me full-time, but they could visit their mother whenever they wanted as long as it didn't extend for more than 14 days without me. Emily is no longer allowed to set foot on my property, including our house in South Carolina, the land I own in Boulder, or any of my office buildings. My parents and immediate family have also filed requests to prevent her from entering their homes. I'm completely relieved. It's the least stressed I've been in the last 3 years. It's a little sad to know my marriage failed, but I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not responsible for that. I'm going to focus on my children and take the next couple of years to rebuild. It's a sad story, but it turned out for the best. I'll keep fighting for my kids. I confronted Emily, and she apologized, admitting that the baby could either be mine or someone else's, but she believes it's mine. I demanded a paternity test and left. It's been about a week since the confrontation, and the results came in yesterday. The baby isn't mine. Emily has since gone to live with her mother. Here's where things get interesting. It took me a lot of digging. All I had were usernames, and I tracked down the guy she was talking to. The father is her boss, the one she had been hiding everything from me about. He's married with 4 kids, 2 in middle school and 2 in high school. I found his wife on Facebook and sent her everything I had, including texts from Emily saying it's his. I'm heartbroken in ways I didn't know were possible, but at the same time, I'm lucky in a lot of ways too. This has completely changed my outlook on relationships, trust, and betrayal. I'm bitter, angry, and untrusting of anyone now. I'm not sure how I'm going to recover from this. Next up, my entitled sister, Sarah, wants to steal our deceased grandma's apartment out from under me so that her cheating boyfriend can move in. She thinks it will be easier for her to see him if he's closer, and she can continue her affair with less effort. I'm so angry right now. I don't even know how to process this. So here's the deal. Sarah, mid-30s, is probably the most entitled person I've ever met. She's always the victim. She can do no wrong, and the world owes her for all the suffering she imagines herself going through. But this time she's gone too far. She recently confessed to our mom and me that she's been dating someone behind her husband's back. To be fair, her husband is a piece of garbage, but that's no reason to cheat. Just leave him, and it cleanly. Don't drag everyone else into your mess. Now, our grandma passed away at the end of August. It hasn't even been a month since her passing. Since grandma was terminally ill, we had time to talk and make arrangements. She lived in an apartment attached to our mom's house, and we had discussed me moving into it after she passed. Everyone agreed it made sense because I'm disabled, and I could use the apartment's accessibility features, like no-slip railings and kitchen tools designed for arthritis. It seemed like the best plan, but then Sarah dropped this bombshell. She thinks it would be a great idea to have her affair partner move into grandma's apartment instead. She wants to use our mom's house as cover for her affair. I'm disgusted. I can't believe she would even suggest this, let alone think it's a good idea. We had all just started to let Sarah come around again. After everything that happened with grandma, she seemed to be turning a new leaf, showing some maturity. But it was all just so she could get what she wanted. I'm so furious. I can't even put it into words. Why would she think we would support her infidelity? I won't be a part of this. I will not help her cheat on her husband. And her justification? She says I don't seem in much of a rush to move into grandma's apartment. Like I'm just supposed to get over my grief and start erasing grandma's legacy right away. Yeah, I found our grandma deceased not even a month ago, but I haven't exactly been in a hurry to turn her home into some stranger's love nest. Maybe she should have a little empathy for once. I've made my decision. I'm cutting Sarah out of my life again. Every time I think she's capable of changing, she shows me that she's the same selfish person she's always been. I'm done falling for her charades. Let her deal with the inevitable divorce, and whatever happens next. Good luck explaining this to her kids. Update: there were so many insightful points made in the last thread that my mom and I hadn't really thought of. Like the possibility of Sarah getting kicked out and needing somewhere to stay, or how to tell her husband about the affair. We've taken all of that into account. My family and I have begun going through grandma's belongings, and it's been bittersweet. It hurts to see her things go, but we've found so many family memories in the process, like old photos and keepsakes. I even found a box from my great-grandpa, with his pocket watch and a locket of my great-grandma's photo. Sarah did manage to bully her way into the apartment for a few hours to pick out what she wanted. But joke's on her, I had all the things Grandma would never have wanted her to take. She walked away with nothing but a decorative bowl. Sarah has stopped pushing for her boyfriend to move in now that she sees I'm serious about taking the apartment. But she's made a few passive-aggressive comments, so I know she's still plotting something. My mom and I have decided that once I'm settled in, we'll tell her husband the truth about the affair and offer our support to him and the kids. Sarah might hate us for it, but we're done enabling her behavior. She's the victim of her own actions, and I'm tired of sparing her feelings. It's time for her to face the consequences. We've also changed the locks and are installing a security system. If she thinks she can sneak in and take anything else, she's sadly mistaken. We'll be ready for whatever comes next. Thanks for the support, everyone. It means the world to me. At least now I won't have to keep this ugly secret, and we can help her husband heal. I'm done letting Sarah get away with treating everyone like crap.